Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. We made it literally on the second that it started. Like we were like, "Hey, how long is? When does it start?" I was like, "Oh my goodness, it's starting 2 seconds." We literally just sat down. So,
On a rush with me.
yeah.
I realized.
Well, anyway, we're happy to be back. Give us just a second here to get up and running. I was having some technical difficulties with the Facebook stream because the Facebook stream didn't start automatically like it normally does. And then I was like trying to share it and it was like nowhere to be found. So let's do this. I'm going to start a watch party. Yay. Watch party here. Okay. And let's start here. How does this thing work? Okay, this is fun. Are you having fun?
Yes.
This is fun. Oh my goodness. I like when starting off is such a fun adventure like it is right now. It is absolutely crazy sometimes getting started with this podcast. There we go. Another watch party. Have you figured out your watch party? Yay. Okay. Let me just get the chat up on this computer and then we'll be going. But yeah, this week we're going to be talking about something very important, which is savior complex. Do any of you have savior complex?
Definitely.
Yeah, if you ask me, my personal development journey, one of the biggest challenges I've had is a huge savior complex. And sometimes I get lost trying to save people that don't want to be saved or that aren't ready for change or that nothing is enough for them, and then I feel like an absolute failure. Yeah. You also sometimes stay up all night worrying about people, trying to help them when they're not ready to receive help.
Yes, definitely. When it comes to friends or family, definitely. I feel like sometimes I worry too much.
I'm just slapping her in the face with the microphone.
I got some lipstick on the microphone.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm a very violent boyfriend, by the way. You guys should be concerned for her well-being because, yeah, this microphone thing, it's crazy. Okay, so anyway, while I bring this up, I want you guys to start reflecting on how many times have you guys gotten lost trying to save people that aren't ready to receive help or that devalue you, and how much do you depend on helping others to feel good about yourself, and how much are you escaping into project people to avoid your responsibilities or your own problems. Like, there are certain types of people that in order to feel good about themselves they have to help others.
Yeah.
And I include myself as one of those people at times. I have certainly had a challenge where during extended periods of my life, I have gotten lost trying to save people. But many times I've done it when I felt bad with my own personal life, when I felt bad with my own projects. And when I've been stuck, I go, okay, I'm going to save everyone else to feel useful. And then my problems in my own personal life keep growing and growing and growing. So how do we approach helping people and saving people without getting lost or without investing in the wrong people? That is something I want to explore today, because there are many people that are worthy of your help. There are many people that are ready to receive your help. There are a lot of people that are grateful for your help, and it feels great to help them.
But not a lot of them value it. Like you're gonna want to help people, but they're not gonna value it. They're gonna make you feel less, or they don't want help. And today we're gonna talk about that. How you can help people, and to choose, like, I guess I could say this, to choose your battles.
Pick your battles,
pick your battles wisely, because for example, Yannick is he's very earthly. Like, his first element is fiery, but he's also very earthly. And sometimes, even as his girlfriend, yes, he can help me, but there are some things that he goes over the top trying to save me.
Never.
And I'm just so like, okay, I appreciate your help, but maybe letting me make a mistake and then learn from it would have been nice. And Yannick is very much to put others before what he needs. And we've been trying to work
Lies.
on that.
Lies, all lies.
Because it is something, when you try to help someone, you can lose yourself in the process. And myself, I've had boyfriends in the past that I try to help, and then they suck me into their world of whatever mess that they are in. And I feel like I have to be there. I feel like I'm obligated to help because I'm dating that person. And sometimes we get lost in that situation, and we want to be there. And sometimes it could go like, it could blow up on your face because that person can pull away more, and then or that person will just use you for the fact that you're always there. And it can happen in different ways. It can happen financially. Like, I've had ex-boyfriends use me just because I was able to give them money at that time. It can happen emotionally just because they weren't emotionally stable and I was in a good place in my life. They used me to feel like, I don't know how to explain that.
To feel better about
To
themselves.
feel better about themselves, exactly. And it could come in many different ways, as well as my family. I have a cousin that's more like a brother, and I've always been trying to help him, like, all the time, with his drug situation, with his alcohol addiction, all of that. And I was letting myself get sucked into his world and being worried and just not being able to sleep. And that happens to me a lot with my family members. Sometimes I care about them too over the top, that I lose sleep, that I start being just rude to everyone around me in that moment. I start getting frustrated. And once when you get worried about someone, or when you're trying to save someone and it starts bothering you, or it starts messing with your personal life, that's when you know you've been taking it too far.
No, we got to be very careful when it comes to saving people. Like, there's value in saving people. There's value in helping people. Obviously, we need to be compassionate. We need to be caring. But we need to pick the right people to help and the right moment to help, because some people might not be ready to receive you right now, but maybe 6 months down the road, they'll be ready. Maybe the way in which you're helping them is not what they need right now. Maybe you're helping them based on your personal context and your goals and your ambitions and your opinions, but maybe that's not what that person needs right now, and that's why it's not working. But ultimately, you have to analyze what's working, what's not working, and why is it working and why is it not working. And what you have to be careful with is not falling into those situations where you're helping people where nothing is ever enough, or people that are using you and manipulating you, or that tell you all the right words, but their actions are not aligned with you, or with what, like, basically they might tell you, "Oh, thank you, I love you, I value you, blah, blah, blah," but they treat you like shit. I mean, be careful with that. There are people that don't tell you all the magical words, but actually are there for you. They might be more private and less expressive, but will be there for you. So make sure to see beyond just face value stuff and analyze, is this working? Is it not? How can I make it better? How can I improve this situation? And am I helping them for generous reasons or for selfish reasons? Am I helping them because I want something in return? Am I saving them because I'm trying to escape from my reality? That's also something that happens. I know I've sometimes saved people because I was in a shitty situation and I wanted to escape from my reality, and it was a project. Like, yay, I'm going to help this person. I'm going to feel better about myself. And just be aware when you're doing it for the wrong reasons, because when you do it for the wrong reasons, it's not going to have the impact that on anyone that is desired. And see also when you've lost yourself, when you've forgotten about yourself in the process, because it's important to be generous, but yes, sometimes you got to think about yourself too. And it's not about one or the other. It's not a zero-sum game of either this person wins or I win. We can all win, right? And that's something that it takes time to be like, okay, these are my needs. These are the needs of this other person, and how can we make sure that all the needs are met? But that's something that I often forget. Like Des said in the beginning, I'm very good at putting other people's needs before my own. And then I forget about my own needs, and all of a sudden I'm eating terrible food, I'm sleeping terribly, I'm in very uncomfortable situations. I'm in a lot of stress, and I just kind of absorb everyone else's problems, and I just make sure that everyone else is fed good food, everyone else is in a comfortable situation, everyone else is happy, and then as long as everyone else is happy, I just okay, I figured it out. But then I forget, what about me? And sometimes taking care of myself leads me to being more generous with people and more inclusive with people. And sometimes being a little bit selfish gives you the resources to help more people at the same time. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm in personal development, and this is one of the hardest things for me. Is I'm very ethical. I care about very important values about generosity, not manipulating people, not doing unethical sales tactics, blah 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 blah. But sometimes I get to the extreme. I'm like, here's everyone, everything for free, everything for free, everything for free, and I was like, but I need to eat, and I need to increase my resources to help more people. And then, okay, then I get super fiery, and I get back on track, and I sell myself, and I do mega events, and I get on stage in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. I get on TV, I get on the radio, and then, but someone in my life needs my help. I'm going to go save them. And then I forget about myself again.
Why are you pointing at me?
Oh, I go save them. But yeah, that's one of the things that happens. That sometimes we get lost and we forget about ourselves. And sometimes just remembering, you know what, I need a little bit of support. I need a little bit of help. I need a little bit of, I need some stimulus. I need to spoil myself right now. I need to boost myself up right now. And in Develop, I'm going to talk about this. There are activities, environments, actions, things we can do, relationships we can build that fill us with energy, fill us with peace, fill us with confidence. And yes, sometimes we got to do things that look like a distraction or look like they're a selfish act, but they give us the energy and the confidence and the inner peace to face our challenges and to be generous and inclusive with people. And sometimes we forget the importance of that. And we skip
it's
that.
okay. It's okay to be selfish, because it's like the saying that I always remember in every podcast, the one with the airplane.
Oh, yeah. When you get on an airplane, if the oxygen level goes down, masks drop. And the first thing they tell you is, first put the mask on yourself and then the people you're taking care of. Because if not, what happens? If you pass out and you die, then you can't save the other people.
Exactly. And this is a situation that happened to me over a year ago. I worked my ass off trying to save people, trying to be there for everybody, trying to be there and like in every possible way for everyone around me that always needed something. And I did it for family, I did it for friends, and I did it for people I was dating at that time. And what happened? I became sick. I began sick because I was just doing things and I burned myself out and I stressed myself out to the point that my body started getting seriously ill. And I got in debt. It was a really, really bad moment for me. And even though it didn't all have to do with the fact of me helping other people, but that definitely was
You lost yourself a bit.
one of the reasons. But I really lost myself out there. And I really lost myself out there. And what happened once I was no longer able to give, a lot of people disappeared.
Yeah.
And that's how you know when someone does not value you, because if they are only there when you are willing to give and help them out.
And a lot of those people are now showing up in your life now that you're better, and they're like, oh my goodness, I miss you. How have you been? Oh my goodness, Desi, it's been so long. Can I come crash at your place? Oh, can we go out again? Can we do this?
Yeah, I've literally had friends from like that literally left the second that they saw me ill, left. And then now everybody's trying to hit me up.
Everyone's like, yeah, oh my goodness.
Facebook messages, WhatsApp. Like sometimes I don't even know how they get my number because I changed my number. And they're like, hey, do you remember me? Do you want to go out? And I just sit there and I just tell you, like, I feel so uncomfortable because where were all these people when I needed them? Like, I just, it's something that has happened to me because I've always tried to save a lot of people. I've always tried to be there for everyone, even if that meant that I didn't have the resources at that time, but I somehow made myself have the resources to help someone. And it was just, It was really tough, and it's a tough pill to swallow. To know that not everybody's going to be grateful for what you
And
do.
here's something you need to know. I talk about this in a lot of podcasts and a lot of workshops, but I'm gonna talk to you guys about it from a different narrative. At It's called the Benjamin Franklin effect. Blah, blah, blah. If I could speak, the Benjamin Franklin effect. And basically, usually I tell you guys, one of the best ways to build a strong relationship and deepen a relationship is to ask for help, because it's a compliment. You're including the person, you're making them feel valued. And there's been a lot of studies and experiments done that prove this concept of if you ask for help, they're very likely to see you in a better light, and it basically reinforce that relationship in the mind over and over again. And there are many positive things that come up from learning to ask for help. But
Yes.
the flip side of this is one of the other things they discovered is Benjamin Franklin, when he needed to create political alliances, he discovered that the people that he had received help from before were very happy to help him again. But the people that owed him a favor, they were not likely to help him again.
Yes.
And why is this? How many of you have lent money to someone and then they disappear from the face of
Oh
the world?
my gosh, that's what we were talking about last time. If I could just get everybody that owes me money since high school, I would literally be able to pay 1 month of rent that we pay here.
Yeah. And that's the thing. There are so many people that think that being generous is a transactional thing. I do this for you and then you give me this back. The problem is that when you feel like you're in debt to someone, you resent them. You get frustrated. You start devaluing them and you start justifying why you don't need to pay them back. And many times because you can't pay them back, because you don't have the resource to pay them back.
Yeah.
So many times you start pushing away people that you owe favors to or owe money to, because it's uncomfortable to be in debt with someone. So when we talk about giving and receiving, we have to be aware of this tendency. When you start giving without any expectations, please. And if you do end up giving with expectation, in certain circumstances, there are negotiations of, I'll help you with this, but can you help me with this? And let's do this. If it's in a more collaborative space, if it's more of a teamwork situation where you feel like you're in it together, then the debt won't feel as big, but it is up to you to make sure to not make the other person feel like they owe you. Meaning, never tell them, I need you to be like this and do this exactly like this because I did this for you, and list all the things. I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. Because then they just feel a crazy amount of pressure and they'll start resenting you and pushing you away. So it is better to be like, more of a collaborative effort of, let's work together. I can do this. I can contribute this. What can you contribute? What is within your resources and abilities and confidence? Because we have to understand that you cannot give stuff that you don't have.
And if
And
you
how
do,
many-
it's gonna blow up on your face.
Exactly. And how many people commit to things they cannot deliver?
Yeah.
How many times do we commit to things that we can't deliver? And then we just feel like a crazy burden, a crazy pressure to perform.
And it's actually better when you don't promise things to people, when you just help because you want to help.
Yeah.
Because, well, for example, I'm gonna use our relationship. When I first met Yannick, I honestly didn't think he was gonna call back. And we were just casually like seeing each other. I think I told you I didn't want a relationship. You told me that you weren't in a good way. Like we said
both were in bad points of our life,
Yeah,
and we didn't think we could find a relationship that would work because we both were going through hell in that period.
Exactly. And Yannick didn't tell me, hey, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that, I'm going to help you out of your anxiety, I'm going to help you with the panic. Like, he did not promise me a single thing. If I saw him, if I would go on dates with him, it was because I wanted to be with him, not because I expected something in return. And he let me know on the first date, don't have any expectations. Even you even told me I don't give flowers as gifts. I don't buy girls flowers.
Which now I do because you really like them. But
I haven't
yeah,
had a serious relationship.
I basically, what I did from the beginning, I was like, listen, during that, I mean, we met like literally a week or two before my grandfather passed away or something. Like
Yeah.
around the time where I was really
Tense.
in the middle of taking care of my grandfather that was passing away. And it was a very tough period for me.
Yeah.
And I remember when I met Des, it was like, listen, I'm not in a position to promise anything or commit too much because I'm in a very, very dark spot right now, in a very difficult position, so I can't commit too much. Like, understand, one, my top priority right now is taking care of my grandpa. Two, I have a business to run, and the little energy and confidence I have left over after dealing with my grandfather passing away right now and literally deteriorating in front of me, a lot of that, like the remaining energy, goes to making sure that the team is well. And I was like, with me, you're dating someone who's going to be either taking care of family or working. You're going to go on dates with me and I'm going to be on my phone taking care of people. Or we're going to go on a date and it's going to be in my house because I got to check on my grandpa every few minutes and like make sure that he's fed, make sure that like he's in a good shape within, what was possible. So it was like, I cannot disconnect from all these responsibilities. If you're okay with that, you're welcome to, I can integrate you into my life, but I cannot like abandon these people or abandon these things. So like, don't expect me to be this super romantic guy that's going to take you on these amazing dates and like do all these things because I'm not in a position to do that right now.
And the funny thing is that my bar was set so low that when Yannick told me all of this and I was like, wait, this is your worst, like you're in your worst right now? And I was just like, no one has been this nice to me. No one has been this creative. I've never had so much fun on a date like I do with you. Like I explored places in the city that we were in that I've never been to. And it was so weird to me for him to tell me, don't expect this and that. But for me, it was like the bar was so low for me that I was just so like, oh my goodness, what is he gonna be like when he's at his best? Like, what is he going to do?
No, that was the thing. Like, we both were good at like not creating any expectations. We were like, listen, I cannot commit too much. This is what I've just been through. This is what I'm going through right now. If you're okay with that, let's see what we can do. But just don't expect too much. And we both exceeded each other's expectations because we didn't overpromise and underdeliver. On the contrary, we underpromised and overdelivered. And when we talk about being generous and giving, one of the things we have to understand is don't commit to things you can't follow through with.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't promise things you can't do.
Or maybe just don't promise anything at all and just surprise the person, because that's what Yannick did. Yeah. And I was very thankful when he did that because I didn't expect anything from him. I didn't expect much from him. And a year later, we're living together. Yeah. We're really, I think it worked out because none of us expected anything from each other.
No, and that's the thing. When you are saving someone or you're helping someone, if you create too many expectations, people start taking it for granted, first of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, you will underdeliver many times and create a lot of frustration. Yeah. Third of all, you will commit to things where you will resent the other person because you cannot deliver. So when you choose to help someone, make sure to evaluate, what are my resources? What are my capacities? What amount of time do I have to spare? What amount of resources do I have financially? What type of level of confidence do I have? What can I actually commit to? And it says here, Manatee says, fun is the most important thing. I stayed more than 20 years with a guy because I loved him, but above anything was because I had fun. Then something happened. Yeah, I mean, when we talk about relationships, especially if we're talking about relationships where you're helping someone out, just understand that you can lighten people's days. You can brighten people's future. Like, you can really do a lot by just bringing light into people's homes, bringing light into people's lives. And I think we were both a source of light for each other during periods of darkness.
Yeah.
And that's something that, like, whether you do it with fun or whether you do it with optimism or however you do it, that is something that really, really is important. And I want you to reflect, and if you're listening, the people you're helping, Are you bringing light into their lives, or are you doing it as an escape or as a burden, or are you getting sucked into their darkness?
Yes, because I think we've both been victims of trying to help people and you get sucked into their darkness.
Yeah.
And then when you're not able to no longer help, they look at you as the bad person.
Yeah, because you set certain expectations you couldn't deliver, and then they resent you. It's like, you've changed. You no longer do this for me. I was like, I did that because I was in a position to do it, because I had more confidence, I was more regenerated, I was more optimistic about the future. A lot of things have happened, and that now the context has changed. The variables have changed, and it's no longer possible for me to do that. That doesn't mean I'm suddenly a bad person. It just means we are no longer on the same page anymore, and that doesn't work anymore. And yeah, you got to be aware of, have you crossed that line of like, I'm bringing light to this person, and then crossing into the, oh my goodness, I'm getting sucked into their darkness.
Yeah, and then just feeling like they are a burden. Like once they start feeling, you start feeling like, oh, it's such a burden to be helping them. That's how you know, okay, I have burned myself out. I have stressed myself out. I'm being sucked into this negative feeling, and I guess it's just the I don't even know how to say this, but when you help someone, like you said, you need to know the reason why you're helping that person.
Yes.
If you are expecting something in return, that's just no. Do not help someone if you're expecting something in return. There are exceptions, but very rarely. And if you're going to help people, like, don't
do it selflessly.
do
it generously.
Do it generously because you want to help that person, and don't like set high expectations towards that person, because if you don't meet them, then that person will just
Expectations, that's a really important thing to talk about from various different angles, because one, what expectation do you set in terms of what help you can provide, and two, what do you expect the other person to achieve with your help? Understand that sometimes you're going to help someone, and the help that you give them, they're only going to take advantage of it 6 months later or a year later.
Yeah.
Like when I met you, let's say a year ago, we helped each other within what was reasonable, within what we could, but we were both in dark places, and we were only able to receive so much.
Yeah.
A lot of what has actually helped is stuff we started back then, but that actually the results showed up months later.
Yeah.
And that's something we have to be like, yo, am I also expecting things to be like, oh my goodness, I'm going to provide this to this person and everything is going to be magically fixed? No. When you're dealing with people that have been victims or have challenges or are going through darkness, you got to be hella patient. Like, things take time. Things take time. There are a lot of insecurities that have to be faced, a lot of traumas that have to be worked on and recovered from. There's so many different things, so many different layers to recovery from anything you can think of. Things don't change overnight.
Yeah.
And you got to be patient, and don't feel like a failure if you're helping someone that is taking longer. Don't put it on you, because that's another thing that happens. When you have a savior complex, sometimes you put all of your confidence, like you link all of your confidence with your ability to help someone. How many times have you felt like an absolute failure because someone that you were helping did not receive that help?
Yeah, definitely. That happens to me, and that happens to you too.
No. I mean, we're talking about you now.
That happens to Yannick a lot when I'm not gonna blast you out here, but
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sometimes happens to him when he is helping someone and that person, they're not changing, or it's not the result he wanted. It's not going as and so sometimes he tends to do that. Good thing about us is, well, Yannick and I both have the same elements. We have fiery first, and then we have earthly as our second element. So the good thing about having that is that when Yannick is being too earthly, I get in my fiery element and I tell him, hey, this and this and that. And when I'm too earthly, he gets in his fiery element, and he, like, we balance each other, and we call each other out when it's like, oh, hey, don't you think you're helping that person too much? Don't you think this person's going to be like that? Or remember what that person did last time. Do you really think they need your help? And yeah, that's the good thing about us, that we call each other out on that. But sometimes both of us tend to I forgot what I was going to say.
Depend on helping other people to feel confident about ourselves.
Yeah, and if the result isn't what we want, or is not as fast as we want it to be, we both tend to feel really bad about
Yeah.
ourselves, and it like,
No, we both had to remind the other person, be patient. These things take time.
yeah.
They might have to hit rock bottom. They might need to have a big aha moment. You cannot force it. You've already done your part to help them and make it clear to them that you're there for them, but they have to also make a choice themselves. You can't force change for someone. You can help them in their path, but they have to choose the path. And there's certainly been times where each of us have kind of wanted to shake someone and help them, and it's like, why are they not responding? Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, please wake up. And it can sometimes take time for people to respond, and that's perfectly okay. Like, just understand, you're going to help people with patience, without expectations. You're going to be generous with people. Also, how many of you have given a gift to someone and you're just waiting for the reaction, and if they don't react with a yay, you're like, aww. But what if what you're giving them now, they can't appreciate in this very moment because they're in a not so great place. For 3 months down the road, they're going to find that thing and they're like, this is just what I needed. Oh my goodness, I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. Sometimes there's going to be delayed reaction to things.
Yeah.
And you cannot beat yourself up when there's a delayed reaction. So ask yourself, why am I helping this person? Am I bringing them light, or am I getting sucked into the darkness? Am I in a position to help or not? Have I committed to more than I can do or not? What expectations have I set, and what expectations do I have from the other person? Can I eliminate certain expectations and reduce expectations both ways? Or make the expectations at least more flexible so that they're not so specific that the surprises and bumps along the way devalue the whole process? Because let's face it, we're dynamic beings with both internal and external factors that influence us every given day. And we're going to be pulled in different directions, and they're going to be surprises along the way. Understand that that's normal. Don't beat yourself up. You have a hard time with that.
Yeah, I do. If I can't help that person in that moment, or if I don't feel like they, like, the gift example is very good, because if I don't feel like they're reacting the way that I want them to react with whatever I'm helping them in that moment, I make I don't know, I lose confidence. I start to get in a bad mood, and it starts affecting me in my personal life.
Yeah.
And when I need to stop and realize, hey, I'm helping this person, I'm not obligated to help this person. And if it's working, good. If it's not, well, I tried.
Yeah.
But it's not my obligation to make this person feel better about themselves. And sometimes, as someone that tends to be a savior all the time, we forget that.
Yeah.
You are choosing to help. You should never feel like you have to help someone.
No, and you've had a challenge because you have your own mental illness battles that you've dealt with for years, with anxiety, with depression, with agoraphobia, which is the fear of embarrassing yourself in public because you get anxiety in public and things like that. So, like, she has had a hard time committing to a lot of things because the anxiety has affected her so much. But that doesn't mean she doesn't want to help or doesn't try to help, right? And one of the big things that happens is she wants to help people, but then her anxiety affects her, and then she beats herself up, and it's a vicious cycle. And then she creates more anxiety because she feels like she has failed the person, when in reality it's literally a circle inside her own head.
Yeah. That I'm trying to work on, and it's difficult, because sometimes I make plans to help someone. Sometimes I put myself in a position like, oh, hey, I'm going to help you, and then anxiety kicks in, and then I hate myself because I'm just like, I'm supposed to be helping someone right now. I'm supposed to be doing this or that, and I'm not there.
And when we talk about including yourself in giving and receiving, in yes, saving people, but also, respecting yourself, giving yourself certain luxuries, or spoiling yourself, or giving yourself the experiences that you need. You have to also include empathy and patience with yourself too, not just with the other person. And that's something that we both sometimes struggle with.
Both have to learn how to.
No, it is a challenge because obviously it's very easy to get excited about the possibilities for someone, right? And especially if you have a great capacity to see the best in people, then it's very easy to be like, oh my goodness, this person could be so much more, could do so much more. And you then fantasize and idolize this possibility. But then you start devaluing the now because you are like, I'm not in the future yet.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that future is 5 years away, 10 years away. But then we start beating ourselves up because we're not there yet. How often do you do that?
I do that all the time.
Every single day.
I do that all the time because I want things to happen now, and I work for like 2 weeks or 1 week. I work hard on a certain goal, and then I don't see any results as fast as I can, and then I stop doing it, and then it's something that I need to work on because I need to work on being patient and being consistent, and it's something that, oh my goodness, it's really, really hard for me. And if I don't see the results fast, then I start getting annoyed, and yeah. It's not good. But it's also the same when you try helping someone, or when I try helping someone. If I don't see them getting any better, if I don't see anything positive out of what I'm doing, it's the same thing. I feel like I'm wasting my time, and as a person, you need to be patient.
Yeah.
You need to be patient, but as well, don't go to the other extreme where you use that as an excuse for someone that doesn't want to change.
Yes, that's a very, very good point. Yeah, I'm just gonna ignore that point because that's not relevant for me whatsoever.
Sometimes I'm not gonna say names, but
No.
I know that me and another certain individual, sometimes we go to the other extreme, and we use the fact that, oh, this is not going to change overnight, but we take it too far. We take it to the point that we are there, and we give that certain problem too much of our time and too much of our energy, and we don't realize that it's because
that person
doesn't want to change, and that's a problem that
we have. Yeah, it's like, how many of you have like gotten very excited and invested so much into a person that you feel you're at a point of no return? It's like, I've already invested this amount of years, so this amount of money in this person, I can't just give up now because I'm in too deep. Like, that has happened to me. It has happened to me in so many different ways. Obviously, I'm a leader, I'm a business owner, and I invest in people all the time, and obviously there comes a point where you feel like, okay, now there's a point of no return. I have invested this much into this person, so now we have to figure it out. And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's like, you know what, we're in this together, and you know what, this is not, people are not disposable, and blah blah blah, and we can do this, and let's figure it out, and let's not give up, and like, we've come this far, why turn back now? But how many times do we do that with relationships, to the degree of like, the relationship is not working anymore, but you're like, I have invested this amount of time into this relationship. Yeah. Spending, like, finding a new person, and like building a new relationship, and sharing all my traumas and all my goals, and learning about them. And then you just like, I don't have energy for that. And then you stay in a terrible relationship because you're like, relationships are draining. And no, relationships are not draining.
They shouldn't be.
Every relationship is going to have its ups and downs, but in general, a positive relationship is going to regenerate you more than it's going to drain you. That's like, you should be better than the sum of all parts in a relationship. Like, everyone should win in a positive relationship. If you feel like you're getting like cut into pieces, or discouraged, or feel belittled, then it's a bad relationship. And so, how many of you are stuck in bad relationships, but you just feel like, I've invested too much into this relationship, so it's like, fuck it.
Yeah, and then you just stay stuck there. And honestly, I would be scared to be with a person that I no longer, no longer want to be in a relationship, but I'm just too lazy to find someone else. I'd just be like,
No, but we also end up doing things like, oh my goodness, where am I going to find someone like that? Like, I had a very, very abusive girlfriend. I was like, where am I going to find another girl who likes cars and video games?
hi.
Well, the funny thing is, one, it's super common, and two, you don't really care about that. Like, when you really have self-respect, you care about how do people treat you. How do you get along? How is it to spend time with that person? You don't have to share exactly the same interests.
Yeah, it's okay to not like the same things, to not be into the same things. Like Yannick and I, in some aspects, we're the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And for example, he likes superheroes, and I'm not very much of a fan of them.
Yeah, she introduced me to a superhero program yesterday.
But Umbrella Academy is different, okay?
Uh-huh.
It's not like Superman and stuff.
Here's the thing. Des has this wonderful ability to conclude that she doesn't like something because she sees something that she doesn't like, and then she thinks she doesn't like it in general. Like, she told me for many months that she doesn't like seafood. And then I learned, do you like shrimp?
Yes.
Do you like salmon?
Yes.
Do you like tuna?
Yes.
Do you like normal fish fillet?
Yes.
Do you like shellfish?
Yes. Oysters. I love oysters.
Like, but she's like, I don't like it. And that has happened so many times. And it happened with the superheroes too. It's like, I don't like superheroes. And it's like, do you want to watch Suicide Squad?
Okay, but Suicide Squad is about the villains.
Uh-huh.
The villains, I love the villains.
So, but it's like, do you want to watch Suicide Squad? Do you want to watch Umbrella Academy? Do you want to watch The Joker? Do you want to watch this? Do you want to watch that? I'm like, all of these are superhero movies. But yeah, that's a funny thing too. Like, side note, but yeah.
But definitely, you guys don't need to like the same things. Like, sometimes we want everything to be so perfect, for a person to be so perfect, that we don't realize not everything's going to be exactly like you want it to be.
Okay, so we have a question here. Manatee says, statistically, do you guys believe that there are more victims than saviors, or would it be the same? Because I found more victims in my experience. For context, last week we talked about victim mentality and how common it was to, being addicted to being the victim, and how we use it to manipulate, and how sometimes we take it too far and reinforce things that don't work, and make it part of our identity instead of using it to grow and evolve and blah, 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 blah. Great episode. Watch it if you haven't already. But in terms of this whole, like, how many people are saviors, how many people are victims, I don't know the statistics, but I will say there are more saviors than people realize. And I say that because in my personal life, I live with so many people that have savior complexes, but I also will remind you that many people have both at the same time. Many people have both a victim mentality and a savior complex at the same time, because many people who go through adversity, yes, some people become bullies and assholes because that's how they feel powerful, but some people learn that helping other people prevent certain negative experiences or help people recover from certain experiences is a way for them to process their own traumas, right? So there are so many different things that can happen. So I would be really hard-pressed to say one is more common than the other, because I've just seen so many cases of both sides. Like, I've seen so many cases of both sides. But maybe I'm biased because I work in personal development, and everyone I work with and live with and collaborate with to some degree is passionate about helping people. What's your opinion on the matter? What have you seen most?
I think it depends if the person wants to help you or not. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to explain myself. It's just,
get closer to me.
I've had people not want to help me, but can help other people.
That's a good point. Like, yeah. So there are some people that we can see as either a victim or not a savior, but maybe they're not saving us or doing it in front of us, but maybe they're doing it more privately or helping other people with other contexts. That's a good point, because I know this for a fact. I know certain people that are very passionate about certain minorities, and then they focus very much on those niche areas, but maybe with their personal friends, they aren't as passionate, because maybe they get very passionate about this is the area where I can have the biggest influence.
Yeah.
Or maybe they think that you are better than you are and that you don't need help because you haven't communicated that you need help, and then they maybe don't come save you, but maybe they end up in a relationship saving someone. I know so many people that end up being a savior in a relationship that when I met them, they were a victim. But then they end up in a relationship with someone who's gone through a lot of traumas, has a lot of mental illnesses, has a lot of challenges, and then they become the savior too. So, like, the same person can have multiple different roles, and at the same time with different people in different environments. So it's very hard to generalize. I would say it's definitely common to see both sides. I don't think there's a disproportionate amount of more victims than saviors.
And a person can be a victim and a savior at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah. And I think there is certainly something to be said about people that are trying to be saviors but just don't know where to start or don't have the confidence to do it. Because there are a lot of people that have a savior complex but don't have the confidence to reach out and are trying to, reach out, but doing it very discreetly or very privately. And there are also a lot of saviors that are, there are a lot of philanthropists and saviors that help without wanting their name on what they're doing. That's another thing. Actually, this is a fun story. One of the things that I think really a big part of the foundation of the relationship between Des and I is when we started talking. She's an English teacher, and she was teaching in a poor neighborhood in an underprivileged school, and she had some very difficult students, and one of the students was a problem student that everyone else had given up on, and she was like, I can't talk to him. There are all these rules and all these things that I can't reach out to him individually, but how can I help him without going in individually? How can I help the whole group, but really focusing on, showing him that there's hope and that he shouldn't give up? And then I was like, yo, what if we do a field trip? Can you ask permission? And then I was like, I give you the money to send all of your students to the movie theater, but don't tell them it was me. Take the credit, because they need to feel like you are the one investing in them. And I was like, I don't want anything to do with the credit. I don't want them to know where the money came from. You need to make them feel like you're a teacher that hasn't given up on them and that you believe in them. And I'm like, I take it back. I'm not even part of the equation. No one needs to know who I am. And she's like, this is amazing, and she loved it, and we got really excited about that. But there are many times that there are philanthropic things that it's better to not have a face. It's better to not be like, yo, I need credit for this, because if you take credit for it, they're going to think, oh, he's just doing it because he wants to be a philanthropist to improve his business, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of kind of conspiracy theories kick up about philanthropists. I mean, look at Bill Gates now, all the people that think that he's created all these problems when he's actually saved millions of people all over the world.
Yes.
Absolutely crazy. So there are many people that just choose to be more private. Also, obviously, some people are more introverted than extroverted, and in those cases, they might even more so be private about their lives and their spending and their investment, right? So just be aware that sometimes there are people that are helping, but without being like, look at me, I'm a savior, I'm a savior, I'm a savior. Like, there are people that do that. And yes, Manatee says, that's a great answer. Depends on the context that they're performing. It could be both. Yes, it's very often both. And there are some people that are bullies at school, a savior at home with the grandparents, and a victim with the parents. Like, you can even be all three.
Yeah, you can.
Like, you have been a bully, you have been a savior, and you've been a victim.
Yeah.
All three very clearly.
Yes.
One
all at the same time, but just different environments, different people, different atmosphere. Like, everything has to be
yes.
like.
No, and that's something you have to understand. People are not one-dimensional. People are not one-dimensional in different areas. They're going to act in different ways. And that is something that the sooner you realize that the same person can be a bully, can be a savior, and can be a victim, you stop putting people into boxes.
Yeah, and you. I was gonna say that, and I realized you said it. But yes, you stop putting people into boxes.
And the reality is, it depends exactly based on our context. And the same person regenerated with more inner confidence can help more, can save more, and the same person, when drained and insecure, can feel more like a victim, can feel more defeated, and can become more of a bully. I know because, for example, me personally, when I'm drained, when I'm insecure, I start putting other people down to feel better about myself. When I'm drained and I'm insecure, I start feeling like a victim, like it's not fair, and like, why is it like this, and why is it like that, and how can it be, and it's just my luck, and blah, blah, blah. But when I'm a bit more regenerative, I'm a bit more confident, I'm like, I can help everyone, I can change this, I can turn this around. I feel more in control of my life. And sometimes when I'm drained, sometimes I will go to I will save people. And sometimes I do it because it's like, ooh, I'm going to save someone to feel valuable. So again, in different contexts, we react differently. So sometimes you become a bit of a bully. Sometimes you become a bit of a savior. Sometimes you start saving for the wrong reasons. Sometimes you save for the right reasons. And there's so many variables, so many factors that influence the direction in which we take our personality, and in particular, our elements that make up our personalities. And we are a mix of personalities, all of us. And yes, for example, Des, she will have moments where she's like on fire and no one can stop her, and she will uplift everyone, inspire everyone. There are going to be moments where she's going to be like, yo, I'm overwhelmed, this is too much, gets anxious, this and that. And like the same person can feel so many different roles. And I believe strongly that with more compassion, with more education, we're going to have more saviors every day. But I also want people to not be saviors for the wrong reasons or with the wrong people. Because when we do that, that's when we get lost. And I have many times invested too many years saving people that were ungrateful in dark places, that took me into the darkness and brought me into like depressions, basically. And I'm like, I wish I could take that time back and help different people.
Yeah, I think both of us feel that same way.
Yeah. Like it's a big thing. Like being a savior, don't do it as obligation. Don't do it as a societal or cultural thing. Don't do it because it's trendy. Don't do it because it's woke. Don't do it because of this. Do it because you have evaluated your resources, your confidence, your ability, your context, and you're right now in a position to help someone selflessly, without expectations, without getting lost and sucked in. And help people with things that regenerate them and make them more powerful. Because sometimes as saviors, we cut people's wings.
Yeah.
Sometimes as saviors, we make people useless. How many times have we overprotected people and made them pretty much useless?
Especially if you're a parent. I've seen a lot of parents, you want to save your children from being a failure, from being disappointed in themselves, and you don't realize that you're cutting their wings.
Yeah.
And maybe something didn't work out for you, but maybe it's going to work out for them. And I think, well, I'm not a parent and you're not a parent, obviously. But I think that sometimes as parents, you have to realize that you can't always be there to save them every single time. You have to let them fall and like hurt themselves in order for them to learn. Because if you're always there trying to save someone, and you don't let them experience their own pain, their own mistakes, what happens? It could blow up. Like,
no, and I saw that with my family. I was taking care of my father, my grandfather, my uncles in so many different ways, in so many different areas. And it came to a point where I had to do everything: supermarket, banking, cooking. Like I had to do so many different things in different contexts, different moments. But I realized, wow, these people have been adults for how many years before me? 40, 50, 60? Before I was even born? And now I'm the one taking care of them. And like, I get it. Sometimes elderly people need help with more things. But I took it so overboard that there were definitely individuals that were more than capable that I just assumed that they weren't, and I did everything for them. And their lives became more boring and more small, and they had fewer relationships, fewer friendships, less interesting careers. And when I became willing to, I'm going to let these fail. I'm going to focus on my grandfather that clearly is at an age where he definitely needs things. Like, I'm going to help him the most because it's clear. But there are other relatives that maybe I should back off a little bit. And I started backing off a little bit, letting them fall. And the funny thing is, all of a sudden, they get more job offers. Their businesses started booming. They started just being so much happier because they started realizing their capacities. And sometimes when we overprotect people, we make them feel like like they can't do things. It's like, for example, with you, sometimes I'm like, oh, yes, everything's going to be okay, babe. It's okay if you have anxiety. Don't worry. I've got your back. But sometimes I'm like, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you because I believe in you. And sometimes that's what you need to hear. Because if you keep being treated like, oh my goodness, you're a fragile piece of glass that's like going to break, like if anything happens, you're going to feel like shit. And like, but if you go like, you know what, I'm going to be there for you when you have low moments, but I'm going to challenge you at the same time. That's a good way to help. Because there's nothing worse than being treated like you're fragile. Right.
Yeah.
How many times have you been treated like you're useless and fragile?
A lot, probably most of my life. And that has gotten me into a mentality like, for example, the fragile part is like, oh, you can get sick easily, or this or that, or you can't do this, and that has gotten me to a point where when I first moved in with you, I think everybody went through through a cold or through a flu, something like that, and I was the only one that didn't get it in the apartment. Like everybody else had it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get sick. And I remember even telling Yannick, like, be ready because when I get sick, I get fever and I get this and I get that, and I have to be in bed and I can't work, and I was just freaking out. And I did not catch it at all. And there were many times where you got ill.
You haven't gotten sick since we started dating.
Yeah. Right now with allergies.
But you've never gotten like an illness. Like I've had a few colds, like 2 or 3 colds probably, and you haven't even gotten one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's when you make someone feel like they're fragile, sometimes you're
just waiting for like, oh, when am I going to let people down? When am I going to fail? When am I going to get sick again? When am I going to break? Yeah. And you keep thinking that, oh, I'm going to break.
Yeah.
But you don't.
But I don't. And it's really frustrating for me because I feel like I'm going to break or I'm going to get sick or something's going to happen. And sometimes if I remember when we travel, like when we go down to visit my parents, I always have to take my meds and I have to take this just in case I get this happen. And you make that person feel like they're less stronger than you feel. And even though you do it with good intentions, but sometimes you make them feel less stronger than they actually are.
Yeah, and that's something you got to be very careful with. You got to let people, learn from the mistakes and find creative solutions, You got to let people face some adversity. And one little thing that will maybe help you feel a little bit more confident about people that you're worried about, there are studies that show that rebellious kids are less likely to fall victim to peer pressure, and therefore, even though they look like they're being irresponsible, there are certain lines they are less likely to cross than someone that always says yes to their parents. Because people that are trained to always say yes, if they are in a toxic environment, they will say yes to the wrong things.
Yes.
And you got to be very careful with that. I have seen so many people of amazing, wonderful people that have had so much stability in their lives, but then they meet someone who's not the best influence, and then they lose themselves and say yes to everything with them, and then it's like, what happened here? And then I've seen people that like everyone thought would be the first to get pregnant as a teenager, the first to go to jail, the first one to have a drug habit, the first one to become an alcoholic. And because they were a bit more rebellious, but they actually turned out to be the most responsible of them all. Like, for example, a lot of people thought you were a bit of more of a rebellious
Oh, I was terrible as a kid.
Pre-teen, right?
Oh, yeah.
But now as an adult, do you drink?
No.
Do you do drugs?
Nope.
Do you have any vices aside from shopping?
Nope. No, I really.
She does have a shopping problem.
I have a shopping problem.
Yeah,
We're working on it.
But aside from that, like, in terms of your day-to-day life, what do you spend most hours doing?
Shopping.
Mm, and working.
And working.
like, do you have any toxic friends that you see on the regular?
No, I really don't have any toxic friends. I'm not surrounded by toxic people. Yes, maybe in my past, but I guess that I don't even know how to explain it, but what Yannick is saying is actually really true. Sometimes as you think that the rebels are the ones that are going to end up bad, but most of the time that's true. I was a rebel. I would get into fights. I did drugs when I was a teen, but like I wasn't an addict, but I tried alcohol for the first time and I was just like, what is this? Like I tried the cheap like beers thing, and then I tried like the kind of like higher price, and I was just like, nope, this isn't for me. And the thing is, I guess I tried everything when I was younger, and I was just like, this.
You got it out of your system
I
fast.
I don't know if I got it out of my system, but maybe I did. And nowadays it's really hard for me to get peer pressure into something. Like if I don't want to do something, I won't do it. If I don't want to listen to someone, if I don't want someone to be a part of my life, it's easy for me to just be like, bye.
And that's something I admire greatly about you, and it's a general trend I've seen, and there are studies to back this up. This is not something I'm just pulling out of thin air. But you have to understand some of the people that you're most worried about right now might surprise you given the right opportunities or the right environments to grow.
Yeah.
And also ask yourself, why haven't they been able to grow? Is it because they're poor boohoo victims, which sometimes they are victims, but many times we overextend and like, oh, boo-hoo, when actually all they need is just someone to believe in them.
Yeah.
I know so many people that, yes, have had a lot of challenges with bad habits and bad environments and bad stuff that I've wanted to save. And I realized when I just tried to help them, I was like, yo, this person has a lot of dreams, a lot of capacities, a lot of skill sets. And they've just been in an environment where they were always punished for everything, told off, or beaten for everything, and they just feel like an absolute failure. But actually, just by telling them, listen, I believe in you, I'm here if you need me, they figured out by themselves. Like, it's impressive. Like, you have a little bit that. You have the context that you got beat up and you got, treated like not the best, and people always told you that you wouldn't amount to anything and that your sisters would be the ones that would be super successful and that didn't even like there was the theme that you were the dumb one, like that was the general theme.
And that's the thing, when you put someone in a box and you start to repeat it to them over and over again, they start to believe it. Like till this day I feel like I'm not the smartest person.
You keep telling me it's because you're smart and I'm dumb, and I want to study something because I'm dumb. That's what like to this day. You still have that narrative.
Yeah, I still have that narrative because I don't feel like the smartest person, and Yannick is here telling me the complete opposite. Like, yeah, and sometimes it just gets stuck with you, and we need to stop labeling people. We need to stop.
And if you are saving someone, ask yourself, in your protective savior spirit, have you cut their wings? Have you made them feel useless? Have you made them feel like they aren't capable? Have you made them feel like they will depend on someone else to take care of them? Or have you made them feel powerful? Have you challenged them to level up? Have you challenged them to face fears? Have you challenged them to actually, realize their potential? Which of the two? Because sometimes when we're overprotective, we make people feel like they're incapable of doing pretty much anything.
And when we're trying to save someone, we realize we're doing the same thing.
Yeah, and this is something I've learned the hard way. I've saved people the wrong way so many times. And it took me a long time to realize one of the best ways to save a person is, yes, process your traumas, but let's use those as a fuel source to realize how strong you are, how capable you are, how resilient you are, and use that as an energy source to level up. And that's something very, very powerful when you make that switch. But yes, just reflect in your lives. Are you helping people that are ungrateful or not ready? Are you losing yourself with expectations? Are you giving the wrong expectations? Are you helping for the wrong reasons? Are you putting people in boxes? Are you doing things where you're getting lost and forgetting about yourself? And also, do you know how to receive? Do you know how to receive support, love, encouragement?
Sometimes it's challenging.
And that's the thing. If you are going to be a savior, which there's nothing wrong if you do it right with the right people and you don't lose yourself, ask yourself, are you including yourself in the equation? Are you receiving? Are you making sure that you're not left behind or that you're not cutting yourself into pieces to save people? Because you can save people without cutting yourself into pieces. And that is something that the moment you make that switch, everything changes. When you realize you can create win-win situations that include you, you'll have more fuel to help more people without running out of steam or out of confidence. Because if you get sucked into the darkness with the wrong person, helping someone who's not ready, you're going to feel like an absolute failure. So reflect on how you can approach this with more fun, where you bring lightness to people and where you just lighten everyone's moods and things get better. But also be open to the fact that maybe you need to change things. Next week's episode, we're going to be talking about this concept of recalculating your route when your route is not working. That applies to, are you trying to save someone in a way that's not working? Maybe your way is approach is not working. Maybe you're approaching it from the wrong angle with the wrong context. You haven't updated yourself in the context. Maybe you don't have the resources to do it the same way anymore and you have to do it differently. But also, thanks to the pandemic in your business and your career and your family life, where are you trying to force a path or a route that's not working? And can you recalculate your route, like with your GPS, where you go like, yo, this other route is going to work better for me. So I want to share with you guys the promo we made for next week. And now we're actually experimenting with square promos, which is kind of fun. Let me just find it here. Make a silly dance while I put it on. Hey there. Quick question. Are you stuck on a route with many roadblocks and with no clear idea of how to get to your goals? Has this recent pandemic and global shift in how we do business, how we work, how we live day to day, has this whole pandemic gotten you in an uncomfortable position where you have no clarity on how you're going to get from where you are now to where you want to be? Well, many people are in the same boat. I was in the same boat a few months ago where I had to be like, whoa. We've canceled all live events, all expos, all conferences, all workshops. Everything has to go online. I mean, we have to recalculate everything, reevaluate everything, make new plans. And that was an uncomfortable period because it meant learning new skills, trying new things, and really adapting to a whole new reality. But the worst thing you can do right now is force a route that isn't working. Think of your GPS. Your app is constantly recalculating, evaluating where is there a lot of congestion, a lot of traffic, where are there too many tolls, which route is going to be cheapest, which route is going to be fastest, which route is going to go through the path you want to go through with the experiences you want to have, How many stops do you want in your route? Those are things that your GPS can calculate and can optimize for you. Now, take that concept and apply it to your general life. Start thinking, how can I recalculate my route to maybe spend less if right now money is an issue, to maybe get to your goals faster if you are stuck and paralyzed, maybe have more stops on the way if you need to stop somewhere for a pit stop to recharge your battery, or a pit stop to learn a new skill, take a new course, learn something. Figure out what you need in order to get to where you want to get. Because on your GPS, obviously, when you need gas, you're gonna plug in, I need gas. When you need sleep, I need a hotel. So in your life, what stops do you need? But also, what route is going to get you to where you want to get without unnecessary distractions, without unnecessary paralysis, without unnecessary stress. Think about it. That's something that I've been going through, both in my personal life, reevaluating all my personal goals, as well as in my career and my business life. You know, I had to think in the business, how are we going to manage? How are we going to change things? What skills do we have to learn? What resources do we have to acquire? What stops do we need to make? And it requires enough confidence to get into the uncomfortable again, because you're going to have to, make a fool out of yourself, try new things. You're going to have to experience things that you didn't think you needed to experience. You might need to realize that, okay, the whole world has changed now, and I'm trying to hold on to something that's not realistic nor relevant right now. And the market has changed, the conditions have changed, the day-to-day lives have changed, and I can either curse everyone out, blame everyone else, blame the government, blame conspiracies, blame everyone else. Or I can be like, this is the reality right now, whether I like it or not, whether I believe in all the stories or not. This is a fact of life now. How do I adapt to maximize the opportunities? Because while right now there's a lot of frustration and there's a lot of defeat, there's also a lot of opportunity. Opportunity to innovate, opportunity to grow, opportunity to learn new things. You have way more time than ever. Use that time wisely. If you want to join the conversation about this, if you want to explore this topic further, join us in our live transmission of our podcast, Development Unplugged, this Sunday at 4 p.m. Central Time, either on YouTube or on Facebook. We're on both platforms. And join the conversation. Join us in the chat. Ask questions. Come up with suggestions. Let's explore all the possibilities to find a faster, more efficient route with the correct stops. That's my invitation for today. So, if you're interested, tune in this Sunday and I'll see you there. Have a good one. Okay, so we're back. That's a little promo. And we're doing it square because we're going to put it on Instagram too now. But yeah, funny enough, on the stream it shoves it all the way to left, so I'll have to figure out that for next week so that it's centered at least for next week. But yes, definitely join us next week because it's a very important topic. I think a lot of people right now in a situation where they have to reevaluate a lot of things. They have to stop being stubborn, stop forcing a path that's not working, get unstuck, find a path with the right pit stops and with the right route to have the right experiences and to get to where you want to get, right? So let's definitely start thinking about that for next week. Join us next week. Bring the comments, bring your questions, bring your thoughts, bring your suggestions, bring your ideas, because I think right now we're living in a point in history where everything has changed and we have to change with the times and not just hold on to the past. So, and to just wrap things up with the whole savior complex thing, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a savior. Just make sure you're not doing it for the wrong reasons and the wrong ways for the wrong people, and that you're doing things within your resources in a way where you're bringing lightness and where you're not getting sucked into the darkness of others and where you're actually having the impact you want. And sometimes you have to learn to say no. Sometimes you have to learn to say this isn't the right time, or sometimes you have to focus on yourself to increase your resources, your confidence, your capacity to be able to help people more and better without losing yourself or cutting yourself into pieces. Do not beat yourself up if people aren't willing to receive or aren't receiving in the exact same way. You can ask questions on how they would like to be helped in case you are helping in a way that's not ideal for them, but don't beat yourself up. Sometimes the help you will provide others will take time before they will be able to receive it and process it and utilize it. Be patient with people. Be patient with yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be too hard on others. Diversify the amount of people you help and diversify your sources of regeneration and confidence so that you don't only depend on helping people to feel good about yourself. And also pick your battles. You're not always in a position to help. You're not always the right person to help that person. And maybe it's not the right time for you to help. And maybe it's just not the right thing for you in that moment. So just know when to say no. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a terrible person. In fact, sometimes it's more generous to set low expectations and then exceed them later. As we said, when we met each other, we were in dark places, so we set very low expectations, and luckily we were able to exceed them. And there's a lot of value in that too. So, yeah, that basically wraps up today's episode. Anything you would like to add about this very important topic?
No.
No? So, with that in mind, I say have a good one. See you next week. Same time, same place. We love you guys. Thank you for the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube and on Facebook. And if you have any requests for topics, make sure to send them in. And with that in mind, bye-bye.